Let me ask you something. You're walking past a Starbucks. Line out the door. Every table full. People paying $7 for a cup of coffee. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you think, what if I owned one of these? It seems like the perfect business. The brand does the work for you. The customers are already addicted. Rain or shine, recession or boom, people still show up for their morning coffee. So you go home. You Google how to open a Starbucks franchise. And that's where it gets interesting. Because Starbucks, one of the most profitable coffee chains on earth, does not offer franchises. Not to you. Not to anyone. In the United States and Canada, you cannot buy a Starbucks. Period. Full stop. And the reason why tells you everything about how this company thinks. And the reason why Starbucks has over 40,000 stores across 88 countries. It serves tens of millions of customers every single day. The largest coffee chain on the planet, by a massive margin. And every single standalone Starbucks location in the United States, every one you've ever walked into on a street corner, in a mall, next to your office, is owned and operated by Starbucks corporate directly. Not a franchisee, not an entrepreneur. Starbucks itself. The company employs its own baristas, manages its own leases, controls its own operations. From Seattle headquarters, all the way down to the specific way a barista writes your name on a cup. This is not an accident. This is a deliberate decision that goes back to 1987. Howard Schultz didn't found Starbucks. He bought it. In 1985, Schultz was working for Starbucks when he traveled to Italy and saw something that changed everything. Italian espresso bars. The experience. The community. The ritual of coffee as more than just a drink. He came back to Seattle convinced that Starbucks needed to become a cafe. The original founders disagreed, so Schultz left, built his own espresso bar concept called Il Giornale, proved it worked, then came back and bought Starbucks outright for $3.8 million in 1987. And from day one, he had one non-negotiable conviction. Starbucks would not franchise. I never believed that we could build the culture of the company in a franchise system where individual franchisees had their own subculture, Schultz said. Think about what he was giving up. McDonald's used franchising to expand to 40,000 locations without spending its own capital. Subway franchised so aggressively, it became the largest restaurant chain by location count in the world. Franchising is the fastest, cheapest way to scale a food business. Schultz said no, because he believed the Starbucks experience was worth more than speed. Because he believed Howard Schultz did. Starbucks went public, raised $271 million in its IPO. That money replaced what franchising capital would have provided. Suddenly, Starbucks could expand company-owned without needing franchisees to fund it. And it worked. By the end of the 1990s, Starbucks had over 2,500 locations across a dozen countries. All company-owned, all consistent, all Starbucks. The strategy produced something franchising never could, a consistent emotional experience at scale. Every store feels the same. The lighting, the music, the way your name gets called. That consistency became the product, not just the coffee. That is one exception. Starbucks does grant licenses, not franchises, for locations inside other businesses. Airports, hospitals, college campuses, hotel lobbies, Target stores. But here's what that actually requires. A net worth of over $1 million, liquid assets of $500,000 to $700,000, multi-unit food service operating experience, and access to a non-traditional location, meaning you already own or operate a qualifying facility. And even then, Starbucks selects its licensees. You apply, they decide. The fee is estimated at $315,000, and you are operating under their rules, their products, their standards, their way. You are not an owner. You are a licensed operator inside someone else's business. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Starbucks is struggling right now. In 2024, Starbucks had its worst sales decline in decades. Revenue dropped, customer visits fell. CEO Laxman Narasimhan was fired after just 2 years. Brian Niccol, the man who turned Chipotle into a $60 billion company, was brought in as the new CEO. And one of Niccol's first moves? He is questioning whether the company-owned model still makes sense everywhere. In international markets, Starbucks already uses licensing partners: China, Japan, the Middle East. These markets operate through local partners, not corporate. The question now is whether that model starts expanding, whether Starbucks, under new leadership, begins opening its doors to outside operators in ways Howard Schultz never would have allowed. Nothing is confirmed, but the fact that the conversation is happening at all, inside a company that refused to franchise for 37 years, tells you something has changed. For the first time in Starbucks history, the answer to, "Can I own one?" might not be no. For the first question now, Starbucks today. Howard Schultz made sure of that. He believed that control was worth more than speed, that experience was worth more than scale, and for 37 years, he was right. Starbucks became one of the most valuable consumer brands ever built without giving away a single franchise in the US. But the world changes, consumer habits change, and new leadership asks new questions. Whether Starbucks stays the same, or whether the doors finally open, that is one of the most interesting business stories to watch right now. Would you open a Starbucks if you could? Drop a comment below, and subscribe, because next week we are breaking down another famous brand and what is really going on behind the scenes. See you there.